Abraham Lincoln was a great orator. One of his more famous quotes that I've heard ever since I was a little boy was, "You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time." Enter therapy, because all of us fool ourselves to our own detriment about who we are about who we are, what we've done, and our circumstances. Really good therapy. Now, not all therapy is good. Not all therapists are created equal. When I was a little boy, I had some very unpleasant experiences with psychiatrists. Not in the movies. In the movies, I mean, you got Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams played a great therapist. It got Ordinary People. Judd Hirsch played a great therapist. But a really good therapist can help you to shift your perspective and make new connections. One of the really amazing things about true meditation, effective meditation, is that it helps us do the same thing. Let's look at mindfulness through the lens of psychiatry or psychology or therapy. We'll begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord, and which has evolved to help us to not to actively concentrate, but to do the opposite, to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This is hugely important in classical Freudian psychotherapy. Psychoanalysis. The patient lies on a lounge, and near him, but behind him, out of peripheral vision, the therapist just lets the the patient free associate and just follow trains of thought, maybe asking a question here or there, maybe pointing out when the patient has made a really interesting observation. That is so much more effective than some sort of a self-help coach screaming affirmations into the ear of their client. I kid you not. I've known coaches who've boasted in doing that. And wow, that's not science-based. That's just capitalism-based. Anyway, I mean, I've never met a coach who wasn't a screaming capitalist, but that's beside the point. True mindfulness is not concentration. True mindfulness is vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. And during each mindfulness-oriented inhalation, we are wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. And in that situation, as we sit in meditation, often to our great discomfort, memories thought forgotten can breach the surface of our consciousness like a whale in the North Pacific, Atlantic. And as we sit in meditation and the minutes tick by and the quarter hours tick by, not only can memories come, not only can confabulations come, but new perspectives come. Sometimes that defend us, sometimes that accuse us. But we can feel new connections being made. the marvelous thing we call a human body has evolved some amazing mechanisms. We have three tubes in our inner ear that help us to automatically sit upright, to automatically sit at 190% angle to an absolute plane. Even if we are on a rocky terrain, we automatically find that perfect upright posture because of our inner self-correcting mechanisms. Similarly, the sympathetic nervous system can help us do likewise. Now, it's great that we notice things, but that's only 50% of the equation. Not only does a good psychiatrist, a good therapist, a good psychologist help us to shift our perspective and make new connections, they help us to also let go of that which no longer serves us. Similarly, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced partly in the lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of our cervical region of our spinal cord. It's wired to help us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. And these two mechanisms of spontaneously noticing and spontaneously releasing, it's like getting a massage for your mind, getting a massage for your heart, metaphorically speaking. That helps us to process things. Now, it doesn't change the past, it doesn't change our recollections, but it helps us to cope. So let's take a deeper dive. Well, we'll take a deeper dive in a few minutes. That's enough for right now. Now, I think it could be splendid if together as a team we prepare to chant this evening's excerpt from arguably the source text of Dzogchen, the total space of Vajrasattva, composed many centuries ago by Garab Dorje, edited and translated from the Tibetan into Italian by the late Chogyal Namkhai Norbu, translated from the Italian into the English by Adriano Clemente, and adapted by, of course, yours truly. Allow me to remind you that if at any point during the remainder of this live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. If you're using a laptop or a desktop, that should be on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're using a smartphone in the vertical format, it should be right down here. Together, the gradual path of purity that leads higher and higher does not correspond to the nature behind action. The so-called gradual path is in conflict with the fact that all healthy vertebrate life forms already have the neurological equipment to master mindfulness, meditation, and empathy. Together, Were they really about to tread just like the bounds of the sky, one would never arrive. Upon the so-called gradual path, there is no end in sight. So with the illusion, as with the illusion of the infinite azure sky, on a bright and beautiful, cloudless day, it seems to go on forever. Together, the authentic condition being thus by being shown as it is attained. Already born with sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, one needs only to be shown that passive noticing correlates with inhalation, that relaxing release correlates with exhalation, and that their fruit is love, spontaneous and uncontrived, to relax into the mastery that is our birthright. The wording here isn't perfect. Hopefully I'll be able to improve it in future weeks. Let's continue. As it is the very essence, its manifestation arises from it, oh how marvelous. Despite the complexity and contrivances of the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears, we can step out of our own way into the enlightenment, there you go, that is our birthright. Together. Time past and time present, or the authentic condition that is complete in its own place. Neither memories nor perceptions are inferior nor superior to each other. They both serve as objects of awareness and release. Together. Likewise, his path is the same. This is the very nature. Whether sight, sound, sensations, flavors, scents, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, or imaginings. Are perceived and released, the process is the same. Together. The universal path that is the same as that is like the moon and the basis of its reflection. Just as one full moon is reflected in 100,000 puddles, likewise, there's no need for elitism. Enlightenment is available for all. Together. As it is the absolute equality of all, is not realized with a limited view. Just as one's peripheral vision is compromised when gazing at the Milky Way through a narrow pipe, likewise our fearful and rigid preconceptions undermine the perception of our enlightened potential. Okay, so we're going over here. Whoopsie, having some problems with the connection. That's no fun. Much better now. I look forward to meditating with you, and we'll do that after less than 1 minute of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I've spent more than half my life studying, practicing, and then reverse engineering the teachings, techniques, and practices of each school of Buddhism so that I could play the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker and help you to quickly and easily become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So we're going to play with recitations that help us to exercise the neural pathways responsible for empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We'll begin with a literal approach, implementing the triplet chant. 2 triplets and then monotone. Together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on thee, Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Those 3 words highlighted are so useful that they earned the metaphoric nickname of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels, which is referred to in this final, concise, figurative chant that's going to implement the bookend pattern of chanting. Together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. And now let us review the basic meditation instructions. Mindfulness and meditation are known by many names, including Zen, Proto-Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Dzogchen, and Trekchon. Despite the fanciness of their names, the technique is fairly simple. Now, we explored the physiological rudimentaries during the opening lesson. I like to explore it from the perspective of the 12 syllables. Every time we inhale, it would be perfectly appropriate to silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. Notice this is not an affirmation. We're not dealing with things that are not obvious in the present moment. I'm not asking you to believe something or imagine something. This is going on right now. In fact, it was probably the turbulence of your mind which drove you to this live stream right now. So one of the great ironies is this. Dunder-headed shitheads tend to say, oh, the monkey mind is a bad thing. You must transcend your monkey mind. Malarkey. The monkey mind kept our ancestors alive when we ventured out of the trees and onto the savannah. Our monkey mind is already wired to observe sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, as well as emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Every time we exhale, it's perfectly appropriate to silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So, fortunately, it's not our job to superstitiously believe and that our mind is literally non-graspable, nor is it our job to pseudo-intellectually try to prove that our mind is literally non-graspable, because it's not. In 4th grade, most of us should have been taught that not all statements are literal. Many are figurative. So every time we exhale, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be non-graspable to the eye, is intangible to the hand. And there you go. The mystery of no self, emptiness, birthlessness, laid bare. So now, together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as young Luke Skywalker on Dagobah under the guidance of Yoda. Let's switch gears and go from the 12-syllable exercises to their 3-syllable counterpart. Our go-to exercise during our inhalation is notice this, and our go-to exercise during our exhalation is relaxing, each containing 3 syllables. Now you'll notice there's all kinds of stuff right here. What's going on with that? Sometimes we experience turbulence, and rather than ignoring it or indulging it, we can harness it. We can put it to work. And one of the things that was taught to me by the source text of Gaurav Dorje is this: that we find the middle point between non-duality and mindfulness by noticing things without putting too fine a point on it. For instance, instead of using the label ugly or pretty, we use the label appearance. Instead of using the label harmonious or discordant, we use the label resonance. So resonance is a non-dual, non-judgmental reference to sound. We don't talk about pleasure or pain. We talk about sensation. We don't talk about delicious or disgusting. We talk about flavor. We don't talk about stink or perfume. We talk about fragrance. We don't talk about happiness or sorrow. We talk about emotion. We don't talk about malice or benevolence. We talk about intention. We don't talk about thickness or stupidity or cleverness. We talk about just cognition. We don't talk about a good memory, a happy memory, or a sad memory, just a memory. We don't talk about imagining the worst or the best. We just call whatever comes up that's imaginary, imagine. Now, do we have to stress over finding the perfect label to whatever comes up? No. Our go-to move is simply the most generic version, notice this, relaxing. But sometimes something comes up that feels like it's grabbing us by the lapels and shaking us like a French au pair. And when that happens, specificity can really, or I should say, moderated specificity or non-dual specificity can really, really help. And now we're going to switch gears from the 3-syllable techniques to the 1-syllable counterparts. The go-to move is simply this, ease, using ease as a verb. But there's going to be some redundancy. Feel refers both to sensation as well as emotion. We're going to refer to memory as then and imagination as dream, because it can be challenging to find monosyllabic synonyms, can't it? So this is the time of the year where your sinuses might really be aching. So if the pain gets intense, you can simply replace the word this with the verb feel. Welcome aboard to this evening's group practice. If you would desire the lesson, just drag your indicator bar all the way to the left. But you don't have to do that. If you want to jump in, you can meditate with me right now. We can practice meditation during our inhalation by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this. And we can practice meditation during our exhalation by silently and mentally reciting the one syllable verb ease during the exhalation. Above, you might notice all sorts of variations. When something grabs you strong and seems to shake you, perhaps a body pain, you could use the word feel and ease. If you feel a strong emotion, you can again use the word feel and ease. If you experience a memory, you can use the word then and ease. If you're experiencing a flight of fancy, you can experience dream and ease. If you find yourself rehearsing or reliving a conversation, you could use the word think and ease. But once again, you don't have to. If all you do is stick with this and ease, that's fine. This bit over here, that's just for when things are just shaking you up hard. As always, if at any point during the remainder of this live stream, you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, type your question in the chat window, click send, and within 1 to 9 minutes, I'll check your question and answer it. I should say check for a question and answer it. Welcome to this evening's group practice. If you wish to receive the extensive instructions and the opening lesson, just drag your indicator bar all the way to the left. If, however, you're content just to jump in, that's perfectly fine. Every time we inhale, we're wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly without controlling the experience. One of the more efficient ways to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we're wired for physical relaxation and mental release. Therefore, one of the easiest ways to meditate is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. When you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. There is no need to wait. Strike while the iron is hot. Welcome to the tail end of the Friday evening group practice. If you have any questions about Buddhist meditation, philosophy, or application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. We have about 2.5 minutes left, so if your eyes are closed, you may wish to gently open them now. Let's seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness, spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of eating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.